Hello, everyone. Welcome to Risen Draft League. Tonight, we are going to be streaming the Losers Quarterfinals, a best of three series, and I'm here joined by my fellow caster, Abba Trombone.
Hey, how's it going? Should be an exciting matchup here.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. So, tonight, we are going to be watching DTF versus LCOM. Both of them were the number one seeds from their respective leagues. So it's a bit of a surprise, I think, to see them all the way down here.
Yeah, it is pretty surprising to see him at this stage in the game. Uh, do we have any stakes for tonight? I haven't been as up to date as to what's going on.
So tonight, it looks like I think the loser is out. The winner gets to go on and play the. I guess it's the loser of the winners finals. It looks like.
Okay.
Um, Or I might be misreading. Oh, I'm sorry. No, so this is since this is the losers quarters, I'm just looking at the bracket here. Um it looks like the winner of this match goes and plays the winner of the other losers quarterfinal, and then the winner of that match plays the loser of the winners finals. But if you lose, you're out.
All right, so those are pretty high stakes right now. It looks like the first lock in on L is going to be Rakan. Pretty good at some transferring some into mobility, some roams. You can get some nice pickups here. We'll have to see what kind of pairing they're going to go with it and how DTF is going to be responding here. Looks like they don't want any of these poke champions on the enemy side, so we'll see.
Yeah, that we will. And so over on the side of DTF, I see here Xerxes looks like it's locked in what I assume to be the Maokai jungle, followed by the Ziggs bot lane. That was a pick that I had on my list of something to watch out for a little bit for or at least I assume it's going bot lane for Neversoft.
Yeah, he usually, whenever I've seen him recently, he's been to the bot side. He can do a little bit of harassing. The mana problem isn't as big there because he can play relatively safe and take teleport to re-get that. And it's pretty good versus engaged supports as W can help launch him out and he can harass them, making it a little bit more dangerous for Rakan trying to go in.
Right, and then so for L, they went ahead and locked in the Galio. Now this is I think a little bit of a takeaway pick if I remember correctly, because it is I'm sorry, it is not a takeaway pick. I have the players swapped around in my brain right now. 'Cause that is a Dachel's special. That is one of his most played champions in Draft League. Galio. The only champ he's played more is Swain, and then they rounded it out with the Sivir pick here.
Yeah. I kind of like the Sivir's ability to just get people in with her ultimate. This kind of helps Galio get in deeper with his ultimate, which is that slower wind up. And the spell shield versus Ziggs, if that's the potential bot laner that they'll be seeing, can help keep her nice and healthy. Of course, she's still going to have some mana problems, being her Q takes up a lot of mana and doesn't get any mana back from it due to the less than recent changes. But still, I think works decently with Rakan, and she can also help fight back some of the pushing that Ziggs has, who can just kind of get through these waves. Sivir also has a similar effect with her W and Q.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's a great lane pick
Mm-hmm.
versus the Ziggs to counteract a lot of the pushing, so it kind of really serves as a neutralizing pick. Then they followed by the Ornn pick for the top lane, and now we see a Gwen ban. Something as I was looking at this, so the Zohair, the jungler for L, is known for his carry picks. Seeming Gwen is one of those picks that he has utilized a lot, it looks like here. So
Well,
we see that.
and Gwen is just really good into Ornn. Anyone who can just sit and harass Ornn so he doesn't get his gold, he doesn't get his XP, which delays his ornaments, is just not where you want to be doing. And it's not like Ornn can necessarily deal with a heavy split pusher like Gwen or possibly Fiora. It's not a particularly great matchup for him. So it makes sense in that regard as well.
Yeah, that is true.
And
And
Mordekaiser, yeah, that
uh,
switched that one up too.
Yep, they look like they're banning a lot of those lane counter picks, which I think is very smart
Hmm.
here. They do have a lot of AP damage, so I'm looking to see. I'm hoping they can get some AD threats here.
Yeah, otherwise this Galio pick is going to be phenomenal for L, just being able to chew up some of that magic damage with their magic shield.
Mm. Yep, that is true. So we have a Kane ban now. I'm curious to see here what they pick. I think I'm looking to see if they pick support here, but there are a lot of picks I think that they could go with.
Yeah, it's ooh, wait. So the Ziggs is the middle laner. Then that would be Zaya bot lane, and this could potentially be a Maokai support. Maybe they're gonna because they already have top lane with Ornn more than likely, unless it's an Ornn support, which is not very likely either. Ooh,
Yeah, that would.
spicy.
I'm curious since they threw in this Ziggs curveball. So I'm curious, do they go Ziggs support here or in mid into the Galio? That
Mmm.
would be that would be cooking a little bit, but
Yeah, I've seen Ornn mid work pretty well, and that could work. Galio is pretty good at like sticking onto targets, but they could be kind of beefy boys together and wet noodle fight in the mid lane. Galio would be able to out roam Ornn. Um,
mhm. Yeah, but
so there's that.
it would be an interesting way to throw a curveball in the draft, like this game one. Oh, the set pick.
Yeah, I love that pick with an Ornn and a Maokai. People that just love building HP, just being able to slam into them is phenomenal. Oh, but a Skarner pick that would diminish some of Set's potential if he just jumps in. But so would Tarek. His invulnerability can also really help, and the stun and peeling.
Uh,
Oh,
Gragas, it looks like it is for, I assume, jungle, maybe support. It could be Maokai support, although
eh,
I think it's going to be Orn top, um, Orn top, Maokai, or Gragas. I'm sorry, Gragas jungle. So,
yeah. Go ahead.
Abba, talk me through. Who do you think won draft here? What do you think of these two teams' drafts?
Well, it's a little hard to tell until people commit, depending on how people can do some of these lines up. Because it'd be like an orange jungle, Gragas top, But that being said, here I think Sivir's ability to match the Ziggs into the mid game at least, because it looks like Ziggs is going to be in the mid lane, and help really clear up some of these waves, create some of this pressure. Rakan, Galio, Talia set. These are all people who are going to be looking for good picks on their opponents here, and there are some certainly good targets to go onto, like Ziggs and Zaya. But because of the defensive options that DTF has with Orange called the Forge God, the Featherstorm from Zaya, and just Maokai's Wall of Roots, that does make it a little bit more difficult for them to go into. So I think DTF has an edge here. They just got to make sure that their lanes are going to work out well versus their opponent, L.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there, and also, I guess to just add on to that a little bit, L see has a lot of dive champions, and
Mm-hmm.
DTF have picked Zaya, who's one of the best ADCs to pick against a heavy dive comp because of her ultimate and just her feathers, just her ability to control space like that, and really punish people who try to dive into her. And so the thing that I really like about DTF is they've drafted basically this huge like meatball comp. Because you have a
Mm-hmm.
Gragas, you have a Maokai, you have an Ornn, who are all great, like just creating space so that Zaya and Ziggs can do their thing.
Well,
Um,
and Ziggs is also going to create some of that space too with his skill shots. If like objective fights are like taking a while to start up, they can keep poking at each other. Ziggs can do it. Zai doesn't quite have the range here, but like Gragas Casket or Sivir Q or Talia's abilities can also try and just poke people out.
right, and I guess to add on to that though a little bit, one thing to point out, the one danger of DTF's comp is they have only one AD threat, and that is
Hmm.
Zaya. Now, that's probably not too much of a problem because Zaya can dish out a lot of damage, but it's just something to that they need to keep in mind. That if the Xayah falls behind, it can DTF don't have as many tools to get back into the game until they can get the Xayah up. So I really want to see DTF play around bot lane this game and focus and work really hard to get that Xayah ahead and make sure she's relevant.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. If Xayah falls behind, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them.
Okay, so as we're just finishing up the draft here, then Abba, what your predictions? Who do you think is going to win game one?
Who do I think is going to win game one? I think there's just too much pressure on that Xayah to perform. I'm going to give the advantage to L. I also just like their lane matchups just a little bit more in the beginning, which can really help shape that mid game.
Okay, so I think I'm going to disagree with you on predictions in that I think DTF, I think that they'll bring this first game home. And the reason being is if you look at the players at least, so Neversaw is a Masters player. He's like the highest ranked player. Everyone else is, hovering, as I remember, around Platinum or Low
Mm.
Emerald. And so this is a team, that they made the top of their group, probably playing around Neversaw and stuff. So they're really experienced doing that. And I think that they will be able to continue to do that and showcase this game. They have a lot of tools that will allow them with the Gragas, the Maokai, the Ornn. So I have confidence. I have faith in DTF to take game one.
Yep, that's certainly true, especially if the game goes longer with that Ornn in play. A lot of these champions will scale pretty well. They will have to be careful to make sure everyone's has their flash up, that Xayah doesn't misposition, till he doesn't catch him off guard, or Sett's able to dive in super easy.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that we have the predictions out on the board, with both of us casters here disagreeing on predictions, counter predictions, I think with that we'll go to a quick break as we get into, as we wait for the spectator delay to get into the game. Hello everyone, welcome back. We are now in game for L versus DTF
Welcome to
here,
Summoner's
and
Rift.
it looks like we are starting off with just a normal 5 point here with
30
the
seconds until minions
Galio,
spawn.
with mid laners mid, everyone just hanging around. Boy, this looks like it's going to be an exciting match though.
Yeah, it certainly does look like an exciting match. It does look like we're trying to get a deep ward onto that upper red buff, and it looks like it's going off, so Herald was able to get that. Can really help the jungler early on figure out the pathing where everyone's starting. I really like that play. And there's a defensive ward in that bush over by Brandy Hash as well.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, not a lot of action, but that ward that L got on the red buff I think is going to be incredibly valuable, because with that they should see or be able to deduce that Gragas is going to start on the bot side of the map.
Yeah. And then he's
Yeah.
working his way up. It's I don't think he can ever start chickens, Raptor Camp. So yeah, they're gonna know exactly where he's starting.
Yep, and now I'm curious to see what Xerxes can do this game. Whether he tries for like a cheeky either level 2 gank or even a full clear into bot gank, full clear bot side into bot gank level 3. Looks like Ziggs is getting a lot of poke here on the Galio.
Yeah, he's had some nice quick trades utilizing that first strike rune. I think he's not going to go for an early push because he'd have to be very careful. And if Bane holds his level 2 skill up, he can just grab the E and I think get out fairly easy, especially with Ghost and Flash. Might cost him a little.
Oh, it looks like bot lane is getting some trade here onto Maokai, but not a whole lot else, just Smith trading. L getting the early push here.
Yeah,
Like
getting the early push. They did take out that fourth caster minion, so there's not going to be a freeze. It's going to be a slow push in response. It does make it a little bit difficult for Marriage to be able to get an engage here with them being super close to the tower.
Yeah. Now, Gragas did not end up coming to gank, although I do like the ward from L there, just looking to spot out, see if Gragas tries any cheeky early ganks. It looks like the junglers are just looking to play opposite sides of the map.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, just this is looking to be right now it's starting off a very slow game. Set just going for, looks like top laners just doing top lane things and trading with each other. We have more action here, more trading in the mid lane. I'm always surprised at how much damage Galio does.
He does do a lot of chunk with his full combo once it goes off. And it's just able to get a lot of these trades because of that spell shield. And it just really helps, even with the harass that his opponent has. It just helps.
Yep, that is true. He's going in for another trade. It looks like he's using his E.
Ooh.
Ziggs uses his little satchel away, but we have Taliyah hanging around mid lane. But otherwise, yeah, just back to farming.
Yeah, just back to farming. I think she was able to get that Scuttle Crab. Yeah, she already had it. So she's got a nice one camp lead on her enemy laner here. A little too early to try and do any dragons. No one's had any back yet. So just trading, getting some gold.
Yeah, it looks like we have more trading here in the top lane. We have Gragas coming in for what looks like the first gank of the game. Sakurai walking into the bush. He flashes away, and it looks like Gragas, they're playing footsie here, walking back and forth in the alcove. Gragas lands his barrel. Does he get the reply kill? Oh! No, Ornn takes the first blood, takes him down. First blood to DTF.
An absolutely great gank there. There wasn't too much deep vision other than by that tri-bush, so the jungle Xerxes was able to get that nice gank in there, and NRG's coming out with a nice kill. They were having a little bit deficits due to the abuse during the farm with the way the wave was crashing in there. LLL was able to just harass him, and this is going to really help recuperate some of that gold. He's still down a lot, so he had to use that teleport to restock his HP and mana.
Yeah, for sure, but he does get back to lane and it looks like pick up most of the wave here. So he does have not only a nice gold lead, but also a decent EXP lead. So huge shout out to, I'm just going to call him Plea because if I hear energy, I'm going to think of the NA team.
That's fair.
I think. But yeah, Plea, I think he's navigating this lane really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, like, Set's just really good at going in, just kind of giving you a nice haymaker, taking some of these nice trades, and then Wing it away, and just really abusing his lane opponent, especially if you're just kind of a tank. Oh my.
Oh, and he misses his haymaker. Oh, Plea just one-shots
Yeah.
Tsukura guy.
That extra level, that power spike going up to level 6, just being able to hit him, and he was next to the wall, able to capitalize that and get a second kill. This is absolutely wonderful for Plea and for their team. They're up 1,500 gold at 6 minutes and 15 seconds, which is absolutely amazing for a team that's really built to scale.
Yeah, that coming out of draft, I think if I saw these two team comps, I would have thought that L would start off with a little bit of a lead, and then it would just be a matter of whether DTF can weather the early to mid game storm from like especially in the top lane. But yeah, the huge props to DTF and to Plea specifically. But it looks like we have another gank here coming in the bot lane. Never saw ghosting away. Draconical flashing away. They're pushing forward.
Ooh.
They do take down the Maokai. Xerxes is here, but it looks like he's just going to disengage. So really a good gank from Zohair there.
Yeah, it's going to make things a little bit more difficult for Neversaw to try and get some of this farm on priority should that L want this dragon. It looks like they're hovering around it. They don't have mid priority though, so that makes it a little bit more difficult.
And we see some more trading here in the top lane as Ornn continues to, looks like just flex his muscles in front of Set. Flex his lane prowess now established. We have some invading in the bot lane, it looks like, but not really much else going on outside of wards.
Nothing too much. Talia's just trying to leverage the CS lead that she has. She's up, what, 14 CS right now, which is pretty good compared to Gragas. But Gragas has also been ganking some lanes, so he's gotten some value there.
Yeah, there's an interesting disparity, I think, with CS here, because in the top line it's about even. Set is up a little bit, which is kind of what you expect. But if you look mid, there's basically a 30 CS lead, which is crazy, I think.
That's another 800 gold difference between the two. I mean, it just goes to show you how much Brandy Harsh has been harassing the Chels, despite him having that nice spell shield and everything else. We saw all those wonderful pokes he was able to get and how much pressure he was able to create, but it's just a lot harder as a melee champion to go into an artillery mage and farm.
Yeah, this match from the Galio side is not fun. You get poked out so easily, and it's so hard to farm into play. So yeah, going down a lot of CS, but yeah, looks like Gragas who's taking the dragon.
Yeah, man, he's able to get the dragon some extra resistances for his team, which is already going to be tanky. Hold the phone.
Oh, it looks like the bot lane's going in hard on the L's bot lane here, but with Sivir flashing out, no casualties there. Great aggression from DTF's bot lane.
Yeah, they were able to get a lot of value out of that. A flash is going to be down in a response. And being how low Bane is as well, this does make things a little bit more difficult for them. And this CS gap that Neversaw has is probably going to get wider as they're going to be able to get some harassment.
Yeah, and I mean, there you see the Rakan like going in to try and okay, just like pressure and poke out Neversaw and Draconical a little bit, but not really much else. I can't imagine they were actually looking to commit too hard.
Yeah, if there wasn't those feathers already down, they would have been able to try and do for a harder engage. Despite Bane being a little bit lower, they probably could have gotten a kill. But that just isn't the case. They were just kind of outspaced, which means Bane's is too far away from Marriage to be able to follow up on that engage. Just makes things pretty awkward. And it looks like both of them are going for a reset, recognizing they might not be able to get that wave under. We just need to spend that gold to keep this lane more even.
Yeah, and something to note, Ziggs just threw his ultimate onto the Rift Herald, I think to look for vision to see if Cleo was on it. And then there were some pings followed by that. So it looks like they might be thinking either that Xerxes is about to head over there and take the Rift, or they might start to look for it themselves.
Yeah, I think it's been a while.
Oh, a little bit of action here in the bot lane. But looks like
Yeah.
Marriage just backs off. Zohair's here to gank. He
There's
uses
the
his
wall.
Weaver's Wall. Maokai W's in. We have the Galio ult coming through, knocking up the Maokai. And they're giving the kill to Zohair. All in all, great proactivity from L.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really liked about this composition. Galio is just able to jump in, and Shells is just capitalizing this, helping with this team. Of course, this is going to cost him a plate, but plates were nerfed a little bit, so they're getting less gold out of it. So this assist might be what they need, and they're getting a lot more gold onto Bane, who has a CS deficit, who can help match Neversaw in a lot of these team fights that are going to be happening once we get into the mid and late game.
Yeah, all in all, they end up trading plates, which I think, as you mentioned, it's now only 125 gold.
Something like that.
And said, oh, we have a little bit of action here going through. Did they get Xerxes caught out? He body slams away, but the Shells comes
Ooh.
down, slams down with the Galio Fizz, and takes him down.
That's a good pickup there. Flea was trying to get a nice proc off the wall there, just ended up missing Triple L. And the team ended up collapsing on him, which got them a nice kill on the jungler. They did not get the Rift. It did end up going over to the red side DTF. So we'll have to see how they're going to use that. They might try and use it on mid or possibly on another sideline to try and unlock Triple L.
Yeah, let's see. Instead, looks like he was trying to maybe do a cheeky freeze. Oh, we have Zohair flashing away with Draconical and Brady Hash. They're invading him. Forcing out the Galio TP as well. Wow, a lot of... These teams are just hurling haymakers at each other.
Yeah, a lot of aggression coming out of both teams. It's a minute before Dragon, so it looks like they might be trying to set up for mid priority and bot priority, trying to establish that vision 45 seconds to 30 seconds beforehand, and potentially winning a fight that might happen, or just securing the objective.
Yeah, and it is an Ocean Dragon, so this is a decent laning dragon, although the laning phase is...
It'll be over in a minute. Everyone kind of likes a little bit more mana. A lot of these champions are throwing out a lot of abilities. There's a lot of aggression. Just a little bit of HP back will help you with these trades.
Oh, for sure. And especially help you sustain a little bit more Ziggs poke, like when you start getting into the mid game. So yeah, it's not a bad dragon by any means. And if DTF get it, they'll be on Soul Point. The Shells looks like
3.
I'm sorry,
Ooh.
you're right. I meant they'll be one step closer to Soul Point. It's like, but we had Galio there almost going down to Brady Hash. They got forced to flash away. That's a big cooldown.
Yeah. 5 minutes. I've heard some people value Flash to be roughly 1,000 gold, depending on, circumstances. And Galio really is short range, so not having that Flash just makes it harder for him to engage and follow up on his team.
Yeah, and it's hard to, I've never heard anyone value Flash before like that, because when I think about it too, it's so hard to value, because just the ability for a carry to reposition or a tank. Oh, we have some action going on here as Gregor throws out his cask and Ziggs takes down Zohair, but you have Rakan knocking him up and they take down Neversaw, and Rakan gets away. Sivir going forward with a double kill so far. We have Set TPing in here, running at them, chasing them away. Wow, impressive collapse by L there.
Yeah, and it just kind of shows you how mobile they are. Talia is very mobile, especially with Bane's ultimate, and Shells can just jump in there whenever they need, and they're able to get a lot of picks. Not able to steal that. That was a good attempt, though, by Brandy Hash. It looks like we're 1-1 with the Drakes. Still a 2,000 gold lead favoring DTF, which is good this far in, especially because they're a scaling team.
Yeah, and Ornn was able to just get some free farm up top, so even though that they dropped and that wasn't good to give over the 2 kills that they did get a reply kill. They did get some more damage on the top tower. They already took mid tower as well, so all isn't lost, but definitely props to L here for striking back.
Yeah, and with Rift Herald, it's kind of harder to defend these, especially when the enemy does have a Ziggs who can just execute it if Rift Herald isn't able to do it as well. They weren't able to get that second charge, which is good news for L. But mid lane is pretty important with a lot of this roamability. It could mean Shells is going to be too deep into his lane to catch some farm. It could just be too expensive for him to roam, which is very good for TTF.
It looks like a little bit of a fight here brewing in the jungle as Zohair and Sakura-Kai invade and pick up the Gragas.
Stopping that back there on Bane.
Do they know that Draconical is in there? Surely they do. Surely.
It's generally safe to assume that the engaged support is in the bush, if you don't know where they are.
Yeah, always something to watch out for, and you never know when a giant Ziggs bomb is gonna come blasting onto your head from about mid lane. That is one of the annoying things. Oh, we have the Weaver's Wall coming in here while they knock up Neverthought. He uses his ultimate, gets knocked back by Zohair and taken down. Well played by L there.
The one thing that Xayah's ultimate doesn't stop is his terrain. It can't go through it, so that just made it super awkward. Very well executed, but the fight might not be over here with Xerxes.
Oh, as we get trolled a little bit by a spectator here, when just as the play is starting, shifts over to trading in the top lane. This is fun to watch, though. Little wet noodle fight.
I'm not sure how wet noodle it is with how much damage Triple L is taking here. The Forge God just leaning into him.
That is a fair point. Ornn does so much damage. There's a reason why he's called the what is it? The tank mage assassin, bruiser.
Yeah, he's got every class ability underneath it. It's a lot, and he already has his first mythic item as well. Versus, I guess Triple L has Blade of the Rune King, which is not a mythic, but it basically is in its power level.
But he is level 12, and I'm not sure exactly how close he is to level 13, but once he hits that, he will, I think at level 13...
Oh, he's pretty close. His bar's almost filled.
Oh, yeah, because he's about to start having upgrades here soon, which would be huge for DTF. But it looks like we've just gotten to a bit of a lull state, but maybe some action looking to brew here around Rift Herald as both teams posture for it.
The second Rift Herald can really help get some lane pressure. L does want at least one tower, if not more, just trying to stabilize a lot of these lanes. Their top tower's almost down, so they're almost out of their outermost turrets.
Yeah, and getting the second Herald, if L can get it. Oh, looks like they're going on here to Neversaw. That was a beautiful knockup from Want Marriage, and they pick up Neversaw. Meanwhile, more action in the top lane, and Klee is able to take down Sakura-Kai.
That was amazing. Wow. They were able to capitalize on that. Triple O tried to out mind game him there with the engage.
Oh, Galio's just jumping in on the Ziggs, taking him down to half health, but Ziggs is not afraid. Meanwhile, everyone else is on the top side taking the Herald, although the Herald does go to L here. So, yeah, I guess L strikes back.
Yeah, they're 1-1, or 2-2, I should say, in global objectives here, which is good news for them. They're still 2,000 gold behind on L's side, which isn't necessarily where they want to be at the 20-minute mark, as they're a little bit more mid-game oriented. But they've been able to get a lot of these nice pickups here, which if they're able to do that and transition that into a fight with this upcoming objective, that could be what they want. They would be a little bit behind, though, with the bot prio mid, and then, of course, can't forget Shells is backing right now.
Yeah, the dragon did just spawn, and it does look like DTF are starting to take control of the river for it. With the Galio recalling right there, he's a little off tempo with the rest of the team, but he does have his ultimate, and that's practically a global ability. Looks like L are gonna drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane. Looking to either pressure this tower a little bit and maybe transition that into river control and a dragon, but oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I think they were offering up a trade. We'll give you the dragon for this tower. And they said no, which is understandable. But they did get a top tower here. They're continuing to pressure this mid tower, and it looks like they're going for the dragon. So this might just be this trade.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh, that was a really good Ziggs ult to clear the wave and prevent Xayah from getting dove. That, if I was that Xayah, I would have been very scared there for a moment that the Rakan was gonna.
She had her ult and tower. She just has to time things. She was fine.
I thought that's true. We hadn't seen the Xayah been able to predict the ultimates yet, but it's first game. I guess first game jitters, first game warm up.
First game, and Rakan's like dash is pretty fast.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh.
Looks like as Draconical is caught by Taliyah there for a moment. Will he get out? He has to flash. Wow, Want Marriage just coming in and forcing Draconical to flash out of there. That is a huge cooldown to burn. And we have Galio going in here on Brady Hash, but Ziggs just W's away and walks away.
Both of them getting chunked out a decent amount here, so he's going to have to avoid a lot of these bombs if he wants to be able to re-engage in the future. Probably going to want up for his rune to come up as well after Shock.
Yep, and I guess now as the game's progressing on here, what if you were L right now, what game plan? What should be their game plan right now? What would you want to be doing?
I think they need a little bit more lane pressure, possibly getting this mid tower. Bot tower might not be as big, but they do have one major lead here, in that their AD carry has more gold than their opposing laner, up like 700 gold roughly. So being able to utilize that in some team fights, I think might be what they need, especially because this Ornn's been building a lot of HP. If they can get him down and deep, they might be able to win a team fight. They play it smart.
Yep, that is very true. And I don't know, a lot of teams looks like they're hovering around the Baron a lot. We'll see what if much happens here. Looks like both teams are just posturing for vision, a little bit of poke, but not.
It's weird that they're posing for the Baron this early. They only have like 1 or 2 items each, and they can be pretty risky if a team member gets caught out with this, but they could get a lot of pushes with the Baron as well.
Yep, and it would be if Blue can get the Baron, it would make it so that they can actually start sieging against the Ziggs. Because the one thing, whenever Ziggs is in the game, he's such an annoying champ to deal with because of his ability to instantly clear waves and from such a long range too. But yeah, it looks like right now both teams are just agreeing to handshake and farm, get items, and we'll see who ends up like trying to go for the next neutral objective.
Yeah, Dragon is coming up in 2 minutes. Maybe they're going to try and go for Dragon Pit over Baron, although we're seeing more and more people hover and try and get this warding under control right there, as we can see with Bane in the mid lane. The bot lane are switching over to the mid, which makes sense. It's a little bit safer for them to farm.
Yep, and I think almost easier for Sivir to like push in and possibly mid tower. You see Taliyah here, and it looks like since Xayah is forced to go around the long way, wonder if L are able to get the tower here. It looks like they are able, but Neversaw ghosting forward, gets immediately flashed on by Rakan and taken down by Zohair. as the Maokai comes in with his ultimate to try and disengage, but the Ziggs ultimate coming through and taking down Bane. 1 for 1 so far.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they have their E up, right? Right? And then I just saw the nuke go off and was like, oh, well, I guess it was down.
Yep, that's one of those unfortunate moments there. I wonder what got her spell shield earlier. It must have been like the Maokai ult or something.
Maokai or an ultimate.
Yeah, it looks like L here are trying to go forward a little bit more and get on to Draconical. You have Zohair coming with a Weaver's Wall to kind of block him off from meeting up with his team to the jungle, but this is Maokai, man, and just so darn tanky. And he just gets to walk away.
Well, and don't forget about what Mythic he built, too. He gets even more value out of this Radiant Virtue whenever he casts that just to heal his team up. Everyone's just tankier.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something, and I guess also the Rakan, like on the other side too, both supports have built this Radiant Virtue. One of the more expensive, well, I say more expensive in terms for a support, at least, Mythic. But yeah, it looks like DTF are first to the dragon, though. As they're here posturing, have control of the river, and they've started up the dragon. While Ziggs laying down his bombs there, poking down, taking Sakura Kai down to half HP. Galio is Eing forward. You have the Rakan ulting through, trying to catch them, but everyone just is able to run away. You have Sakura Kai just waltzing right in. This fight is absolutely crazy. So much going on here. Huge ult from Galio. Looks like they're looking to turn, but low health bars from everyone. Never saw flashes forward. Gets a double kill. And a shutdown to Ziggs from the Taliyah. It looks like they're turning to Baron.
Yeah. They do have their AD carry, and they've got a teleport to go for this. Just kind of going over that fight, they were kind of pinched up, and it looked like Bane stood still during a lot of those auto attacks and wasn't trying to maneuver a little bit out, and they just got chunked out at that stage, and they weren't able to get the damage into these fairly tanky players. If you do look at the gold difference right now, it is about 5,000, and that really does show how different these fights are. It's only going to get wider as this Baron's been taken because of the objective gold and because of what's going to come afterwards. Towers are going to go down, even though the bot tower went down on DTF, so that gives a little bit more gold over to L. It's not looking as pretty for him.
Yeah, and something that I just want to point out that the Ziggs did here, that Brady Hash did, was he didn't join his team for Baron. He knew his team could take the objective just fine, so instead he went mid to increase not only his gold, but also just the overall map pressure there, and I really like that from him. Just going and taking another objective, and just really well utilization of resources there.
If there's one thing that DTF has done absolutely perfectly this game, it's map control and vision control. And those two go hand in hand. But just because they've been able to show up to objectives first, they've been able to get more objectives, they've had vision, they've been able to prep for these fights, and then win them and get other resources as a consequence of that.
Yeah, and you know, they may have been down in kills a little bit before, but even being down like 4 or 5 kills, they were still up 2,000 gold plus just because of the turrets, the plates that they'd taken, the map pressure. Ziggs throwing his ultimate there to poke out Zohair. But yeah, that's, I don't know, they are playing the map really, really well. And it looks like they're gonna rotate here to the bot lane to maybe pressure, although they are sitting in the jungle. No, they're going bot lane now. Looks like great vision control for all around both sides of the jungle, keeping their horn safe, but also looking for any potential flanks from L there.
So they have to respond to one of these pushes in this 1-4, and because those early kills, Please just been able to siege there, get that top turret, which is going to push them in even more. Now they're only down to their inhib turrets and their nexus turrets, which is not very good news. And they don't even have a turret into the mid lane anymore. So that inhib is exposed right now for the next, 2 minutes that Baron buff is alive.
Yep, and now comes the very dangerous part of the game for L, because you have Ziggs in a place where he can start to siege and poke you down. Although it does look like DTF are going to take a reset here now that they took the tier 2 from the bot lane.
Just because you've pushed out this hard, it's further from your base, and your enemy team is going to be closer together, which means that 4-1 is going to be a little bit more difficult to do because of that. And they only had a minute left of that Baron buff, which makes a little bit more sense now that I looked at it.
Yeah, but looks...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that it looks like they are just picking up a blue buff here and possibly posture here to fight the dragon that is coming up in 50 seconds.
Yep, that was coming up in about a minute as well, which means this back was going to be really beneficial for them. It looks like Zohair's like, no, there's no way we win this fight. We're down, 7k gold at this stage. We didn't win the last one, and we were down less gold then, so we're not going to win it here. It looks like they're trying to pressure that top side, get that objective bounty, which I think is a good option. But it does look like Brandy Hash is matching that, who's just going to be able to clear the wave and harass Triple L.
Yep, they are putting the Talia here topside, so this is a clear statement that they are going to give up Dragon Soul over to DTF here, which I'm a little surprised at. It is Cloud Soul, so it's not the worst Dragon Soul to give over, but it's also got to feel pretty bad to give over this one because it's going to make it that much harder for L to get on top of really just the Ziggs or the Xayah with the bonus movement speed, especially from ultimates. Oh, it looks like DTF have got a pick here on the Galio going in on him. He's looking to maybe try to get a return kill onto Neversaw, but there's just too much damage and lifesteal coming. Meanwhile, in the top lane, looks like DTF are trying to 2v4 L, and they take down Brady Hash. So, just trading punches opposite sides of the map.
Yeah. And the nice thing about this late in the game, death timers are going to be a lot longer. So if they're able to get some of these picks, that does help them out. They almost got another one here.
Oh, it looks like they got maybe got a pick onto Gragas, poked him down to just about 10-15%, but it looks like everyone is just going in on L from DTF. The Xayah flashes forward, goes forward, looking to pick up the triple kill here. And Abba, I think that might be game.
Yeah, that's probably going to be game. It's very difficult for one person to defend against this. And it's going to be another 20 seconds before anyone else comes in, especially with this teleport from the Ziggs. This is probably game. Looks like your prediction might be turning out correct.
Yeah, it's just the Ornn and the scaling, man, that it's so strong in positions like this. And I gotta say, the player who surprised me the most this game was Plee, because he was in a match that is not favorable for Ornn by any means, but he navigated that so well and was able to pick up a solo kill after that gank from Xerxes. And yeah, it just snowballed from there that they didn't have the sideline pressure that they thought they would, and things just snowballed out of control.
Yeah, I really expected that Triple L was going to win that lane a little bit more. He's 2,000 damage behind his laning opponent, Plee, which is just not where you want to be as set.
Yeah, it became very difficult, and Ornn is one of those champions that if he gets ahead, he has such high base damage that he becomes incredibly hard to deal with. But yeah, I guess looking from that, we'll go ahead and take a quick break here as we get set up for the next game. So don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to game two of DTF versus L. Here, L managed. They dropped the first game, but it looks like they're looking to punch back here in game two. I am joined again by my fellow caster Abatrombone here, and yeah, that was a wild game one. It,
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Neversaw was able to come up ahead of Bane despite being down 3 kills in the laning phase, able to get a lot of gold and utilize themselves in a lot of team fights despite the fact L's got a lot of picks. But it still went over to DTF here in this best of three. So we'll have to see if L is going to fire back and win this next game and take us to a game three, or if this is just going to be a 2-0 from DTF.
Yep, and as we get in here to draft with the Zyra, Syndra, and Brand bans, what do you want to see? I guess a little L change up here to take game two.
Kind of liked their roaming game plan, but I think they showed their hand way too early with that Rakan pick. And then, of course, doubling down with an earlier Galio pick here as well. That kind of showed what they wanted to do, which means Zaya was just such an open pick, and they didn't ban a whole lot of champions that said, no, don't roam. They picked a lot of champions that are like, hey, we're just going to poke and harass you, which, fair. I hate playing against that. But they kind of need to change that game plan. And Cassante might be a good
Ooh.
option here. I know his all out did get nerfed a little bit, but I've still seen him perform pretty decently in the games I've been spectating recently.
Yeah, and hearing a lot of pros and just high elo streamers talk about him, everyone just hates Cassante right now. Someone he's he's been a menace in high elo for a while, it sounds like, and even with the changes that they made and the hotfix, it's helped for sure, but he's still just such a strong champion. So all in all, I think a really nice first pick. I'm interested to see what they pick to counter it, and they pick Scion. That's not exactly the pick I would have expected necessarily coming from L here.
Yeah, that is an interesting pick. It's just kind of weird for starters to just start with the top lane. I mean, I've seen Cassante like go mid and get some success there and whatnot, but he's probably just gonna be in the top lane with this Scion pick here. And it looks like there's the Rakan, and probably won't be joined by the Sivir if DTF ends up picking it. But we saw a lot of pick potential coming out of both teams here.
Yeah, and just to note, Plee has played a lot of Cassante games.
Hmm.
And then just on the other side, Sakurakai has also played a lot of Scion games. So both top laners, respectively, I would imagine the Cassante and the Scion are going top here. But they're followed up by, like you mentioned, the Rakan and then the Sivir and Maokai. So it looks like DTF are going for a very similar game plan to what they had last game. Um, with the Cassante, with the Maokai, with the Sivir here. Obviously, Cassante and Sivir are different picks, but similar, I think, in concept of tank top, hyperscaling ADC. And then you have the Maokai, good for engage or disengage.
Hmm. And Sivir also provides a lot of wave clear too, and when you have double tanked, you have less of that. It does look like L wants some scalability versus what happened last game with this Kog'Maw pick, which is pretty interesting with Rakan. But the thing is, if you shove in a Kog'Maw, he's more than happy to walk you to your tower as he W's you to death with those auto attacks.
Yeah, and with a champion that has as much CC and mobility as Rakan, it could be very deadly. Because with the if you get a Rakan ult into knockup from his W, uh, and the Kog'Maw is just free hitting you that entire time. There goes most of your HP bar right there.
Mhm.
You're gonna be 50% um, health probably by the time you even can start moving again. And at that point, Kog'Maw presumably would have Ghost, and if you try to flash away, he'll just keep running at you.
Or he's gotten some Qs on you too, which has reduced your armor and everything, and it's just it's not where you want to be. It's not a good time playing against Kog'Maw, especially if they're able to kite very well and have a good engage. It's obviously not going to be like the infamous Lulu Kog'Maw lane where you just kind of like harass them to death, but still going to get a lot of value. And more importantly, Sivir can't spell shield auto attacks.
Yep, that is true. So there, Kog'Maw does have a lot of value from there, and so we follow up with the Jarvan Orianna ban from L, and then another Gwen and Talia ban from DTF. Looks like they identified the Talia as a bit of a problem. And then L on R4, they pick Ari, and it looks like DTF are gonna pick up Gragas again.
They got some nice value out of Gragas. He had some nice ganks. I don't think he was necessarily like the glue that held the team together, but he still did really well and can still roam and heal stuff up and potentially match an Ari, even though she's going to be a little bit more nimble than the big chungus that is Gragas.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see whether the Gragas goes mid or jungle. I imagine it's just gonna go jungle, and they're gonna pick mid here. But yeah, Draven, Aphelios,
Wait, is this a Sivir mid lane?
that would be wild if it is. That it looks like it might be Sivir mid here. Wow, that I did not expect that. I'm not sure how much I like it. Oh, we have the Yone last pick here. Into I imagine the Cassante with a Scion jungle. Looks like both teams really throwing us through drafts. Oh, they picked the Viego. Okay, never
Okay,
mind. I was starting to get
yeah.
too excited.
I'm like,
for-
it's not Scion Jungle. There's no way it's Scion Jungle. Yeah, Viego, Scion top, matching the Cassante here. Sivir can spell block or spell shield that charm, which can be pretty helpful. Usually, if I see someone like that into the mid lane, it's usually a Tristana, but that's pretty linear movement. So maybe they're trying to predict what kind of mid laner they'll be fighting against, and she might not have been the best. So Sivir, I think, is an interesting concept. I am not as familiar with this matchup, but her ability to push lanes and neutralize them versus Ari will make it harder for Ari to try and get some of these roams off, which I do like.
Yeah, so something about this matchup, since I played a lot of Ari mid, and every once in a while you encounter some ADCs mid, like Caitlyn or maybe a Jhin or something like that. But Sivir mid is a very, very, very rare thing. And whenever that happens, she's just so annoying to play against because she just perma shoves you in, and she can wave clear faster than, definitely a lot faster than Ari can.
Mhm.
Until Ari gets level 9, then maybe she can start to match. But it becomes it's a bit of an annoying lane to play, but it's one of those things that Sivir just looks to equalize
Mhm.
the lane.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's really hard for Ari to get a lot of those caster minions until she gets that lost chapter as well. But Sivir can still be relatively safe and get a lot of those behind her minion wave.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how Brady Ash plays this because I'm assuming it's a Sivir mid. I'm still waiting for the full confirmation for that, but I don't know. All in all, DTF. I think all in all, I like what they have going here, and I think it's incredibly
It is a Sivir mid.
it is the Sivir mid. This is wild. Uh,
Oh,
yeah. At this
oh.
point, I don't know what to say. It's so difficult to evaluate the teams here too. From such an off meta pick like that.
I kind of like this because if you think about what a lot of these teams want to do, Gragas has some mobility, yes, but he kind of needs to get on top of you, which means he needs to run Maokai. Has some longer engages, but like his ultimate's pretty slow, and Cassante can get on top of you as well, but kind of needs to be there. So Sivir kind of like fixes a lot of these problems because once DTF is on you, you're dead. There's no like undoing that unless you become an uber tank like Sion. They're going to be the only person that they're going to be trying to go for. But Sion's going to be at the end of this list. He's on the end of the kill list. This Ari, this Kog'Maw, and Viego, they can get a nice pick up there, close the gap, and just shut him down and turn that team fight on super early. It would be absolutely phenomenal for DTF.
Yeah. So going in here, then What are your predictions for this game? Do you think DTF will take it and clean 2-0, or will L strike back?
I think that DTF is probably going to take this. I liked their macro a lot better from game one. I think L's team is fine in its identity. I just think DTF has the responses that they need. They have some nice like pushback for when L tries to get close and on top of them. They can counter engage, and I think they can do it a little bit harder. And they just also scale pretty well as well. Both teams do.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you this time as well. I like what DTF have going for them, and it's hard not to root for the off meta pick like a Sivir mid. I'm gonna be honest. It's always fun to see these exciting picks come out, and when you're laning versus them, especially, matchup knowledge does matter. And so
Mhm.
when you don't know how this matchup plays because you never played it before, there's a lot of new variables there that aren't there before when you're just playing meta picks. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what DTF can do here, and I think that the surprise factor will be enough to carry them over the finish line.
Yeah, and it just kind of like works too with what they want to do. It's like you're kind of saying with that matchup knowledge is like, okay, RA versus Zed. We've seen that matchup like how many times throughout the seasons. Each player is going to know what they want to do, especially at this elo. But at this stage, it's more napkin math than actual real math that they're going to have to figure out where their exact limit is, where to draw that line.
Yeah, for sure. So with that now, I guess we'll go ahead and go to a quick break while we finish getting the game set up for with spectator delay. So don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and welcome
Welcome
back
Summoner's
to
Rift.
Game 2 of DTF versus L. With DTF taking the first game
30
in
seconds
a
until
very
minions
hard-fought,
spawn.
but overall well-played victory there. So this one, yeah, it looks like we have a lot of similar strats. I'm really excited here coming out of the gate. Not a whole lot of level 1 shenanigans
Yeah,
here.
no deep ward this time either onto the red buff or blue buff from the reciprocating sides. Oh, no wards coming out yet. Standard 5-point handshake. We'll have to
Minions
see what
have
this laning
spawned.
phase looks into. So it does look like both these top laners are going to be doing a lot more trading here with Grasp of the Undying. These short trades are going to be pretty favorable for them. Just trying to stack that HP.
Yeah, it looks like Brady Hash going for the ward. He does get a ward over around Raptors, although Zohair does spot that out. Yeah, that's a ward. You won't be able to avoid vision if he goes for his Raptors. But he does know it's there, so maybe he'll skip Raptors and come back to them and just give them, give DTF just a false sense of security in knowing which side of the map he's on.
Yeah, it looks like he's going straight to Krugs because he saw that, and we'll just wait it out. So it doesn't really affect his clear rate as much. So good try on their part.
There's something I do want to just mention from the game. I do like that Sivir took Cleanse in this matchup. Makes it really, really hard for the Ahri to get on top of her and take her down. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how this mid matchup plays out.
Well, there's just a lot of catch potential. She has to worry about the charm, as O'Hare's engage, the knock up from Triple L, and of course Want Marriage as well. Who's, I don't know, at this point his name's a bit of a lie here. It's almost like a divorce. He's always been fighting against the Xayah, this Rakan.
Yeah, it's definitely not. You know, he wants marriage, but boy, Rakan, you're on the wrong side of the rift there for that, there, buddy. You want to be with the Xayah, but instead he has a Kog'Maw, and looks like he was roaming up to maybe hover around Viego for a moment. They're looking to see if Xerxes comes in for an invade. Looks like the ward on blue is spotted out, so they know Gragas is right around there. But yeah, not a whole lot going on right now otherwise.
Yeah, I think that ward was just to confirm where the enemy jungler is. They're playing on parallel sides now, which means there could be a lot of blood happening in this bot side with how things have been going. Bane really does want to get this under, but it looks like 4 minions here is about the freeze that they want. There's the gang coming up.
Yeah, we have Xerxes coming in with the gank. They do get the Maokai root onto Marriage there, but the Kog'Maw ghosting and just hitting Maokai, forcing him to flash away. All in all, well played by L there to just deal with the gank in a 2v3 situation.
And part of it was a misplay. When you looked at the engage, both of the knock-up stun effects hit at the same time, so they didn't capitalize on that CC. They didn't layer it very properly, which just means Bane can run at you. That's what Kog'Maw does. Of course, Ghost is going to be down, so it's going to be a little bit longer before they're going to be able to do that again, but it's all it needs.
Yeah, and it also, I guess just to add to that, they engaged on the Rakan. So, someone who has a lot more mobility, a lot harder to kill than the Kog'Maw, and that just gives Kog'Maw time to just free hit.
Exactly.
So, no, all in all, maybe a bit of a misplay then by DTF, but it looks like Gragas is coming back for the return gank, potentially. Oh, no, he's just going to recall and try push. Oh, or is he? Yeah, not. And we have some trading in the meanwhile, going K'Sante and Sion. But Viego is top. Another gank, forcing K'Sante to flash, but he just eases away and walks away.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, a wave is going to be crashing up into here, so he's going to have to teleport back into lane if he wants to be able to get that CS and XP to keep that 8 minion lead that he currently has. This does give Triple L a TP advantage, which is good news for him, and he'll be able to get a buy in response here. And probably doesn't have to teleport. He can probably just walk back, especially with boots.
Yeah, if I were Sion, I think I just want to walk back here. But yeah, I guess just valuing the state of the lanes, it looks like all in all, DTF just seemed to be outlaning in general, at least out CSing L for right now.
It looks like there's a bit of an invade from Zohair here as well on the enemy wolf, I believe. Yeah, the enemy wolf.
Yeah, and that's also a really good point because Zohair is the one shining light right now for L. He just cleared out Gragas' topside jungle. Gragas is gonna come in and just be like, wait, where's my jungle camps?
Has no camps here. This could potentially set up for the Hextech Dragon that's happening. I know the icon is bugged because League has not fixed that bug for I don't know how long.
Yeah, so with all this downtime, I think that the Gragas has suddenly, because Viego took his camps. I'm looking to see whether they do go for the dragon. They don't currently have bot prio, but I guess we'll see if they can get bot prio, or if Xerxes just decides to go for a dragon sneak here.
Yeah, they could. I believe they got that last game. They had a nice dragon sneak, and Hextech Dragon is pretty potent. Obviously, it's not gonna be the soul, but still. Oh my.
Oh, we have an all-out coming from the Cassante, but Sion does use his ultimate to get away there. All in all, good trade by Pli onto Sakura-Kai. But doesn't result in a solo kill, but it does mean that he gets a free wave to push in and forces Sion to TP back to the top lane.
Yeah, that TP advantage is disappearing. He still has his flash, but while this was all going on, this dragon was also taken here by blue side. DTF has a Hextech Dragon. The next one's going to be Infernal. Goes here, just barely getting out.
It looks like they're going here onto the Maokai. He uses W, but there's nowhere for him to run, and first blood goes to the Chels.
Almost 8 minutes in, and we finally get a first blood onto a support. This does make things a little bit more difficult for River. They do have their ultimate to dodge any sort of engage, but they're pretty low in mana if a dive wanted to happen. Looks like that might not be the case. Uh-oh.
Oh, Neversaw going aggressive here in a 1v2, forced to use his ultimate after Marriage drops the ignite on him. Zohair said, oh, the flash into Feather Recall to one-shot Bane there. He does go down in the end to Viego, but still really impressive plays there from Neversaw.
That was so fast. He pressed the E beforehand and the feathers just recalled as the flash went through and just took him out instantly. Very well played. Unfortunately, didn't have the vision in his own bush, which means Zohair was able to capitalize on that kill, which is good news for L. Breadside is up 2 kills, but they're only up 600 gold, despite, I think they got that first blood as well, so that's a little bit of a deficit, but if you look top side, that does explain some of the CS deficit. That's their jungler can only make up so much of that.
Yeah, there is about a 24, well, right now 23 CS lead, approximately 40, it was 48 to 74 or 72 at the time. But yeah, so there's a little bit of a deficit there, but at the same time, the jungler, between jungles here, there's still
5 amps.
Yeah, which that's a lot. That's a lot of gold and EXP.
That's
right
almost
there,
a full rotation, yeah. But I mean, there's also that big CS difference in the mid lane as well, which helps change it up.
Yeah, that is. Does look like they are engaging on Draconical. You have the Rakan R, but Maokai does use his R and Q to disengage and walk away. Meanwhile, Pli, it looks like he's collapsing on, and he pulls Zohair over the wall. Zohair uses his ult back over, but Brady Hash is ghosted forward. Or he doesn't even have Ghost. He's Sivir R, makes you run so fast. There, they take down both Sion and Viego for a beautiful 2-for-0, and they transition it over to the Rift Herald.
And when we talked about like this roaming potential, this map control, this is exactly what I was talking about with DTF. They were able to capitalize a lot. They positioned and layered things pretty well, and they ultimately won that fight, which is going to get them this Rift Herald. It's going to get them this nice top lane gold here as well. This is what, 2 plates from that, which isn't as much gold as it used to be, but it's still a lot, especially when you're up this much CS. He's sitting on 1.5k gold almost, which could round out an entire item or just be a major component.
Yeah, and something else to note, just a minute ago before that play happened, you were just talking about how, Red Side, about how L was up 500 gold, but now they are down about 1,000, a little, 1,100, which that's a 1600 gold swing in favor of DTF, but it looks like we have Rakan trying to engage onto Neversaw there, but ends up going down, maybe a little too aggressive.
I like the idea that L is trying to engage into the bot side because they just saw a bunch of stuff happen on the top side, but I don't think they were aware of the timer, the window when they had to do that, and they just did it too late. They weren't able to get the wave under with Bane, and they got punished for it, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, it's one of those things, if you're not keeping track of timers... Oh, Xerxes throwing his ultimate out, maybe to try to sneak the red. The Shells does miss his charm, uses ult, but does go down to Brady Hash. Yeah, all in all, it looks like... I don't know, L... They seem to be getting a little overeager and maybe even a little lost here at trying to invade, I guess, a little over-aggressive.
Yeah, I think I just think they don't quite know that Shells can't roam here as much as they would want to help with their jungler because of the Sivir pick here. I don't think they're as aware of that. She can just delete the wave and then just join.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think we had talked about a little bit about, just how easy it is for Sivir to get prio in the mid lane there. So it forces L into a lot of difficult situations where either Ahri's dropping a ton of waves mid lane to continue like on with a play, or there's a lot going on. Meanwhile, we have a dragon fight brewing here. Rakan does engage in, gets a double knockup onto Xerxes and Draconical. Xerxes does end up going down. Draconical flash away. Oh, looks like they're re-engaging onto the Shells, and Brady Hash is just going crazy this fight with a double kill to both of the AD carries. This game just opened up.
Yeah, they said you can take the dragon, we're going to get a triple kill here, and this is just going to be a lot. They probably won't get a plate, they only have like 30 seconds. Well, maybe they'll get one, but they're not going to get any towers. They're going to get a lot of pressure on these lanes, and it's going to force out this TP into the mid lane like we're seeing right now. Just the prowess from the wave clear that they have is just phenomenal here. Like, Bane is single target, Shells doesn't necessarily have the goal that they need to one-shot wave. I finally do have this mythic, which is going to help, but they're down a level right now, which isn't particularly great for them where they want to be.
Yeah, something to note, they did this in the first game, they're doing it in the second game. DTF really understand how valuable this lane prio and lane pressure is, because constantly they're pushing in their opponents, and because of that, they're either first to the rotation, or if they're a little later, they force their opponents to lose a bunch of CS, and so they're losing gold, they're losing EXP, and so even if not much happens, they're still coming out ahead.
And there's this Rift Herald here as well. We're seeing some roaming happening from L. That's not going to save this tower. That's just going to go down.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a fight brewing with Viego flashing forward, landing the stun onto K'Sante, uses his unstoppable and is going to kidnap Zohair over the wall, but he does just run away in his mist. So not much happening there, but honestly good evasion by DTF to prevent like giving over any kills there.
Yeah, it was good splitting up there and then using your ultimate to get over. It's not the fastest recharge rate, but nonetheless, he's already got a lot of the pressure he needs. He's got that first tower of the game into top side, and his team is sitting at a nice 4,000 gold lead. It's all they need. Brandy can probably get this mid tower relatively soon, within the next minute or two, based on his matchup and gold lead of what, almost 40 CS.
Yeah, you're starting to see, like, you have a 40 CS lead mid, you have about a 30 CS lead in the top lane. Yeah, the lane assignments, it's starting to edge out in favor of DTF here. Who, some of it I think is just the champions that they're picking, and some of it is probably also a little bit like just they're CSing a little bit better.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was hoping for L last game, but it looks like DTF is showing them how it should have happened.
Oh, meanwhile in the bot lane we have a gank from Xerxes where he flashes and is able to knock back the Kog'Maw, who does use flash and Ghost to run away. Meanwhile, it looks like Xerxes overcommitted just a little bit because Viego is able to show up and take down Xerxes and Draconical there. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we have more action going on with K'Sante using his all out onto the Scion, forcing him to flash over the wall, but he just keeps following up. This champion is so sticky. If he gets on top of you, you cannot get away. He will not let you run. He does in the end go down to a Scion under tower, but all in all, there's a lot of action going on and great reply, I think, by L here to pick up a few kills.
Yeah, the nice thing is L was able to pick up that one wave, but when you die like this just means the wave is going to bounce back, so you lose less out of that death than you otherwise would, and it exposes the Rift Herald as well.
Yep, the DTF are able to revive and get over to the Rift Herald before L really can, just after those two kind of a bit disjointed fights that happened in the top lane between top laners and then bot lane. But all in all, so yeah, well, I guess overall well played by DTF to just capitalize on tempo here. Looks like Draconical is caught out and does go down to Zohair there. And I don't know, this dragon.
This is pretty good news for them. They were able to get a pickup. It was a support, not necessarily the most important of them all, but it was a nice peeling tool for them. And they were able to get control of this dragon earlier on. So they're trading a dragon effectively, plus a kill for that kill topside and the Rift Herald, which is pretty respectable here. This does get them to 2 dragons for what could be an Ocean Soul for them, if they're able to secure 2 more and the game goes long enough. And the other thing is this 4K gold difference has gone down to about a 2,000 gold difference, which is also good news for L.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening in L's favor here. It looks like Neversaw might be caught out, forced to ghost away. He does use his ultimate to dodge the Scion R. You have a TP coming from K'Sante coming in, shut down on Neversaw, goes over to the Ahri. K'Sante, it looks like he uses his Unstoppable to get out with a little bit of help from the Gragas Cask. That looks like they keep pushing the tempo here, and they do get to take down Xerxes there, but Want Marriage maybe goes a little too far forward and is punished for it.
Yeah, Marriage went a little bit too deep there, was ultimately punished here, and it looks like Asante is still trying to go in on people.
Yeah, this is a continue. Oh wow, Scion goes down to the tower there. Look, he's gonna pick up a couple of Heartsteel procs. They do get on top of Plead there. The Shell's barely making it out alive with his flash. Kog'Maw trading auto attacks with the Sivir, does win that. Take down Brady Hash. That's a big shutdown to go to Kog'Maw.
Yeah, Bane was able to capitalize on that, which is fantastic for them. I really thought Hash was going to be able to get at least 1 or 2 of those kills, but it looks like the damage was split up enough to where it just didn't line up for them. But hold the phone. Are we going to get a Q?
This never saw Bane's recall and the kill goes over to Xerxes. That is so unfortunate for L. But all in all, if you are an L fan, there's a lot of good things that are happening here. They're helping him regain control of the game.
Yep, and they're getting some nice vision on Baron here as well. They've got vision on Dragon Pit. Dragon's not spinning for another 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but they still have a tower under their belt, and the goal difference has been shrinking or at least stabilizing for them on L's side. Does mean DTF has their work cut out for them, and they don't scale quite as hard as they do in the late game, but they do have a lot of front side, big beefy lads with a lot of AD carries.
Yeah, that is true. You have the Cassante and the Maokai for your front line. You have a Gragas as your AP threat, and then you have the double ADCs with the Sivir R too, which I think will help everyone around either kite back or run forward for DTF. So
there's a lot of go buttons for them to go with. If Brandy can just say, hey, our go buttons now, it's all gonna line up beautifully.
yeah, but on the flip side, I think L have a lot of tools that are great to counter some of the engage. Like you have the Viego who normally wants to do it, but we have a fight brewing here in the top side jungle. Mechanical does use his ult and is able to walk away. So a bit of a trade of ultimates there, but not much else. But what I was saying though, to go back to that, is you have a lot of options for disengage and just champions who like you running into them, like the Kog'Maw, the Viego, and you have a Sion who's more than happy to stand in front and be that big beefy front line and just soak up a lot of the engage spells, like the Maokai ultimate.
Yeah, and he's only going to get tankier as the game goes on with that Heart Steel and his passive on his massive shield that he gets as well from every minion he kills.
Yeah, if there was a solo tank to run this game, I think Sion is the pick, because the amount of HP that he can stack from it, and there isn't a whole lot of like percent health damage in the same way that like Kog'Maw has from his W. So he does get a lot of value. Although we do have a lot of trading here going on, but
And he's
talk
out
about a
of
wet
mana
noodle
too.
fight. He is now. Plead keeps interrupting his decimating smash, so he can't clear the minion wave, and oh, he goes down! This champion, Cassante, is such a crazy champion. So many slows, so many knockbacks, knockups, so much CC.
Plus the level advantage and the CS advantage plus ratio just means like Lee is going to be able to stomp all over the Sion.
Yeah, with how little damage was coming out, I thought, oh, well, Sakura will just clear the wave and walk away. You know, it's just a tank. It's just a Cassante. No, that's the problem. It is a Cassante. And when he decides to go on you, he has so many tools to just stay on top of you and never let you run away. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, it looks like everyone is just posturing, clearing waves, fighting for wave pressure, while Cassante takes the bot tier 2. And I guess with Dragon up now, it looks like there's going to be another fight brewing around here with L posturing here in the river.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot going on. Oh, we have the Maokai flashing onto Bane and landing his root. Xerxes takes him down. The Rakan does try to peel for him and is able to get out using his E over the wall. But yeah, it looks like this dragon is going to go over to
not
DTF.
over with this teleport.
No,
Floating cast is down.
yeah, Dutchels is not willing to give this one for free. He TP's in, and looks like Zohair flashes over in an attempt to steal, but Xerxes is on point with his smites and just is able to walk away.
Yeah, that gold difference we've been talking about, that was about 2,000, has grown back to 4,000 gold, which is great news for DTF. And there's some
Oh,
ultimates and flashes that went down. They can try and do this Baron. They just can't get collapsed on and have to know when to rotate.
yeah, I'm a little surprised by this Baron. It seems a bit impatient. They do catch Draconical. They're trying to put some, I guess, some wards up in the topside jungle and just do that. But it looks like they are caught with their pants down. Here, L striking back after losing the fight around Dragon and losing Dragon. They managed to punish DTF for
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Xerxes looking for a cheeky reply kill here, but Aunt Marriage just barely surviving.
I've seen so many Baron throws. I was really expecting them. Okay, they're going to start Baron, they're just going to immediately turn on them and get the kill. No, they just committed a little bit too much. They weren't quite there. They didn't have the vision set up that they normally had very well. But it looks like L was able to snap back with a response and just get this Baron because of this misplay from DTF. An excellent execution by them.
Yeah, and I think, like you were saying, I was also expecting them to turn or something, but they stayed on top of it, and Draconical, it looks like, just got caught out. Meanwhile, here we have Sakura overstaying just a little bit, and going down for it. So unfortunately, you won't have that Baron buff on the Scion in the side lanes to match the Cassante.
Yeah. He just got caught up with a lot of that crowd control, and the rest of his team went out. Which, I mean, one tank that's already pretty behind for the rest of your team, fine. Not preferable. You prefer everyone else lives, but at least it was only 1 kill for DTF, not 2, 3, or the 5.
Yeah, that could have gone a lot worse. It was very fortunate for. Oh, it looks like we have Aunt Marriage here, looking to use ult and engage. Just barely wears out before they're able to get onto Neversaw, and the Shells does go down as he's CC'd by Draconical. Although they do get the reply on Draconical, and we have Cassante who isolates the Kog'Maw and takes him down alone.
Shut
He
down.
rejoins the fight here, and they take down L in what looks like a 4 for 2.
No more Baron buffs left onto the board here. I was going to talk about how, this 4K gold lead went back to 2K. Well, now it's back to 4K, so there's no point about talking this. Well, I guess it's 3.5, but still, rounding up, that's 4,000 gold. They were able to capitalize on that, and I guess stop the Baron buff from happening. They got 0 towers out of that. Excellent positioning. Of course, this did cost a lot of ultimates and everything else, but they're also getting towers on the flip side. Kui was able to isolate the enemy AD carry, Bane, and beautifully took him out, which just won them that fight, and now because of that fight got him this tower.
Yeah, these teams are just trading punches back and forth. As soon as you think one, gets an advantage, maybe L shrinks the gold lead from 2,000 back to about even, maybe a little bit of a lead. Nope, DTF strike back and it bring the gold lead back in their favor. They just keep on fighting back and forth. It's such a good game to watch here. These teams, neither one is willing to go gently into that good night.
Well,
Oh, we have an engage here. Maokai finds his W onto Bane. Scion does tank up the Maokai ult while Kog'Maw is free hitting onto Xayah. Gets them both very low. The Rakan does look to ult in here. He does have a charm onto Xayah, but he goes a little too far, is isolated from his team, and does go down. Meanwhile, Scion is tanking the tower, and ends up falling because of it. So yeah, all in all, you see the Cassante just all outs on Kog'Maw here and just one-shots him. I don't know, man. This game is looking a bit difficult now for L.
yeah, I was like, never saw, man. You really got hit hard with your support, and then boom, fight's over.
Yeah, flash from Xayah here to take down the Shells, and looks like you have Viego behind them, but I don't know, you have Gragas and Maokai over to push him away. Looks like Zohair's gonna look to clear the way, prevent them from ending, while DTF turn onto the dragon.
there's no way they're going to be able to end with the death timers the way they are, but they were able to push this mid lane in for the priority and potentially get this dragon here as well, going to make them a little bit healthier. And they have time to set up vision, you know, the saplings from Maokai here that Triconal is going to be able to set up. And it looks like they don't even need their AD carry right now. And they don't even care about if they know with this ward. The only thing that Zohara can do is, you know, take this Krug on the other side of the map.
Yeah, game is becoming very difficult especially for Viego, because you know as the jungler you just see basically all your lanes around you collapsing, so it's just it starts to feel, I think, pretty hard to play because there isn't a whole lot to do. You're starting to have the enemies come and clear your camps now as well, so you're struggling for farm.
One thing I want to mention here is that L was really playing for jungle. Like, they've always been invading, getting gold here, which I think is like a fine play in itself, but they haven't got a lot out of their jungler who has the lead, which hasn't like driven the game, because we know what Viego does. He carries games when he's ahead, when he has this massive lead here. He's got 50 CS versus his enemy laner and 5 extra kills.
Well, it looks like we have L looking for a pick here. K'Sante coming from behind, looking to push them back into his team, but not a whole lot there. You have the Sion flashing over the wall to get away from the Xayah, almost into the waiting arms of K'Sante, but he was in a position to follow up. And yeah, everyone gets out, no one dies, but some important summoner spells burn for the side of L. And just adding on to that, I guess, it looks like we have DTF posturing around Baron. They have great ward coverage in the top side jungle. And yeah, it looks like with Baron about to spawn here, or spawning right now actually, this puts L in a really difficult situation. They're hovering around the Baron pit and getting some damage onto K'Sante, but they didn't know that 3 members were waiting in that river bush, and Brady Hash takes down the Ahri immediately before the fight even really gets started. And with that, it looks like they're going to turn on to the Baron. I mean, if you're...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so L, it feels like they have to pressure this, but it's so hard to do that.
They just have to let the Baron gaze slowly whirl around their MR, force them to make a difficult decision when committing here. Oh, they got it.
Oh, the Baron goes down. Xerxes on point with his smites, and it looks like you have the Sivir ultimate to chase down those members of L who stuck around, forcing a lot of flashes, a lot of summoner spells there. They do make it out in the end, so no more casualties besides the Ahri who died before the fight even started. But yeah, all in all, it looks like DTF are about... K'Sante just takes out Zohara there. So much damage from the Xayah, so much damage from the K'Sante. This game feels really, really hard to play now.
Yeah, DTF was DTF right there when he's seeing Zohara. That was not their jungler at that stage, with the mid hit being down and having no outer turrets. Even the innermost Nexus turrets are getting pretty low.
And with this, it looks like we have the Ahri able to ult away and not go down, burning the Gragas ult. But I'm not sure if L have the tools to stop this final push.
No,
they're coming in for the end. Yeah, and with that, the Xayah just wipes out the entire bot lane, and L have been routed. This game, it looks like it is over. Viego is not able to get a reset. Quadra kill for the Xayah. And with that, DTF take the series 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely beautifully played from DTF. It looked a little shaky for a moment with how that was going, but in the end, they were able to course correct their mistake, and it looks like they're going to be the winners of this best of three, and L is going to be knocked out.
Yeah, so with that, DTF do move on to the losers semis. And yeah, they keep their playoff dreams alive. Still possible for them to complete the lower gauntlet run after getting knocked down so early.
Yeah, just
Uh,
so much damage was being able to be utilized there. It looked like Neversaw was able to do 41,000 damage versus Bane's 35, which is still a pretty respectful number. Uh, But in the end, they were able to just get so much utility. We saw how aggressive Neversaw was able to flash forward and get a lot of these pickups and follow through despite their enemy being pretty tanky and just ultimately stay alive and fine during the laning phase, which is when Zai is at her weakest.
yep, they were able to get Neversaw through that rough part of the laning phase, the early game, and really just scale up. And honestly, I gotta give props to DTF just with how well they were able to play the map.
Mhm.
And it felt like they were always two steps ahead of L just because they kept having constant side wave priorities, side wave pressure, like during the mid to late game. And you often saw, the mid lane have prio to roam first for those dragon fights and, those jungle skirmishes
Yeah,
and things.
they always got something even when they lost. Except for like the one time when they did that Baron play at 25 minutes in game two, where they just kind of that was just kind of a yikes moment. It happens to the best of us. And L, to their credit, also saw a lot of these opportunities. It tended to be just a little bit too late that they realized and committed to the play, but they still saw a lot of these smart decisions and were able to capitalize it, which made the game as close as it was.
Yeah, and something else to note is the thing that really impressed me the most was how well I thought that DTF were able to utilize that double AD carry comp. Uh, because they had a great front line and everything. So yeah, but with that, uh, I know DTF take the series. So and it sounds like I think